Folks, I have a question for you all. Is V for Valor? Is it for Vanguard? Is it even for Vendetta? No, V is for Vacation. Folks, visit your travel agent now to book a trip to Solana and come visit Solana Fresh and Buds now.
Fresh and
All right, folks, welcome back to yet another episode of Fresh and Buds. I'm your host, Tommy Fresh, and you are all of my buds. It is episode 144, and we are joined once again by Stephen Cookus, aka DMArmada, our dear bud, our dear friend. How you doing, buddy? What's new with you?
Oh, nothing's new with me. I'm just hanging out, having a good time with all these Part the Mistveil spoilers. Have you seen some of these spoilers?
Oh, man.
They're pretty good.
This is a wild set, and that's, what we're going to be talking about today. I want to get our first impressions because they've been, flowing in all weekend, and honestly, it's a lot of information to take in, but, it would be nice to kind of sit down and talk about it and kind of figure out maybe what we kind of think here. You know, we're not going to build Rome in a day here, but... We could try. We could try.
Not with that attitude, we wouldn't build Rome in a day, but we could step it up.
Flash forward to the end of this video or podcast, and we have discovered how to make 1 million crouching tigers. So, we did it.
I watched a We Make Best video on it. It seemed like it worked to me.
Yeah,
they know what they're talking about.
They're the ones that are always breaking it. But before we do that, I want to catch up with you a little bit, get your opinions on some of the heavy hitters cards that we got. You know, we hadn't talked much since heavy hitters came out, and then we'll get into the part of Mistveil first impressions. First of all, you've reached 20K subs.
Yeah,
on
we
YouTube.
did.
That is such a milestone, my friend. First of all, congratulations. And well, how does it feel? That's like a big accomplishment. I don't think there's many YouTube or many Flesh and Blood YouTube creators at that height. You might be the only one. I don't know.
Yeah, it feels good. I mean, it's kind of weird because the number is pretty arbitrary, but I will say that hitting 20,000 was definitely a moment that was a little bit more eye-opening for me because, as you mentioned, there are not a lot of YouTuber kind of personalities, creators that are solely focused on Flesh and Blood that have that number. So while the number is really pretty meaningless and punchless, the fact that it's sort of rarefied air is pretty cool. It's kind of like how, and I'm going to flex this all the time now. I have the #1 longest streak in Fabble. For those that don't know, I have done 137 days straight of Fabble answers. That means nothing to the world. No one cares. It's the meme of the guy with the cup in the corner of the room that says, they don't know I have the #1 streak in Fabble. It's the same thing as that. That equates to 20,000 subscribers. But you know what? I'm #1, and that's what feels good.
We take those, small victories. I haven't even dabbled into Fabble yet.
That was good, by the way. Good wordplay.
I'm a professional podcaster. By professional, I make so much money doing this, as you all know. But
don't we all?
Yeah, but I do want to. I always see you tweeting about it. I'm like, I should download it or try playing it, and then I don't. And now I think now's the time. I'm going to make a note of it. But we take those streaks. I play Wordle every day. I'm trying to get that streak going, and it's just fun. Just getting a number, accomplishing something's huge, and 20K subs is a huge accomplishment. So, super congrats to you. But what's next for the channel? Do you have any big plans or trying some new content on the channel? You just you know what? It's working. I want to keep doing what I'm doing and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, 21K
Oh,
subs.
okay. Yeah.
That's then the number after that, 22K. No, numbers going up is always fun to watch. I I don't have any huge plans like in the works as of right now. I have fun videos coming up, some of which are more akin to the sleeve videos that I've done, but they are still like TCG related. Some of which I'm gonna try to film while at nationals, Flesh and Blood Nationals next month. But yeah, I mean, it's just fun stuff. Like I make YouTube video. I've been making YouTube videos for 8 years. Like, actually, what is today? Is today the date? No, tomorrow.
Whoa.
Tomorrow is the 8 year anniversary of my YouTube channel, May the 16th. I decided 8 years ago to start a YouTube channel and just do it until I got bored of it or until I felt like I wasn't going to quit on it. And it's been going for 8 years. And so at this point, it's everything that I do because I enjoy it, and because I've created a habit out of it. And that habitual, continual putting the time in has just made it really fun for me. And so, yeah, I'm just going to make things that are fun that people hopefully enjoy and or they find information or value out of it during their daily lives. And I'll keep doing that. But yeah, I don't know. As far as like big plans, maybe I could quit my job one day and just make funny videos for people to enjoy, but I don't have the infrastructure for that yet.
Well, maybe we'll get there. We'll get there. You know, hey, maybe next time you're on the show, we're going to be even closer, and we're going to get there. And I know that you mentioned it's tomorrow, but for the listeners or the people who are watching and listening on the day that this comes out, it is the anniversary of your channel, which is
Oh,
awesome. I think
well, there you go.
serendipitous. And happy anniversary, Stephen. That's very cool.
Boom. There it is.
Now, the give and take. I do want to talk about this. Actually, I've had both of the other members of the give and take on the show in the past like 2 months. It's a very fun live show that you're doing. Can you tell us about what it is and what it like, how the inception came about?
Sure. Yeah. So, we did about 6 months ago. Me and two of my friends, for those that don't know, Breezy Parker, and TCG Talk Dylan. We were sitting around together. We started up like a group chat, and one of us mentioned something about having strong feelings about the Living Legend changes that happened in November of last year. And so the topic was posed, hey, why don't we just like get on a live stream and just kind of hash out whether or not we like the idea, don't like the idea, and just kind of spitball throughout the stream. And like 100 and some odd people jumped onto that stream and watched it. And we were like, you know what, this was fun. What if we like made a show out of it? And a while back, I had toyed around with the idea of doing like an around the horn show. And in fact, I think I did an around the horn show for like a singular episode on like a different topic. I don't think it was Flesh and Blood related. Um, and I liked that, but I never did anything more with it. And so we were like, hey, what if we repurpose it into give and take? We spitballed a few names and we just decided why not continue to just, I don't know, hop on to a stream with people and talk about something that's pertinent to them that week on, within the realm of Flesh and Blood. And it's been something that we've been trying to do more and more consistently, and people seem to enjoy it. So I think we're just going to keep doing it.
I would say, why not? I mean, I think a live show is always fun. You know, previously before life got a little too busy, Gary and I would do the Bud Rush Bellow. That was always a lot of fun, and any kind of live show is a good time. Maybe we'll resurrect that at some point if life calms down. But I love seeing that kind of show, and I love even like the idea of like doing it around the horn and like different kinds of kind of sports, ESPN. Like I love that kind of, I guess I don't even know what you call it, like kind of idea thrown into Flesh and Blood. But
Yeah.
I think always want to do first take or fresh take where just me screaming at somebody and not listening to their opinion. But that would be a lot of fun. Now,
That's just Twitter. You just literally just described Twitter. You don't have to even make it a show. Just hop on Twitter. You can do that whenever you want.
That's so true. I can't get into the arguing on Twitter. I take myself too unseriously to do it, which is unfortunate for me because it would be nice to get in some of those fights. Those seem like a lot of fun. But, we do have a lot going on the rest of the year and a lot of flesh and blood to be played. You mentioned US Nats, so I'm assuming you're going to be at US Nats in Minneapolis. Yes. Any other big trips, or is that the big one for now?
For right now, Minneapolis Nats is the big one. I'm not playing in Nats. I didn't qualify. I fell short I only got to go to one RTN, and I didn't make top 8. I made top 9. So woohoo, top 9. So I don't have an invite, but I think I'm going to play in the calling. And if I don't play in the calling, then I will spend my time making a whole bunch of fun videos with friends. So either way, I'm going to that, and that'll be a blast. And that's coming up fairly soon, right? It's like 4 weeks away.
Yeah, I think it's literally a month from like yesterday, I think.
Yeah, it's like something quite soon. So I'll be going to that. I want to go to Gen Con this year, and now I extra want to go to Gen Con because they released a wizard hero that's going to be at Gen Con. And so I have to pick up my copy of the new young wizard hero Blaze so I can play her. And then I want to do Worlds, but I'm not sure. We were talking before this, and I might have a previous engagement known as my son's birthday. So I don't know. I'll be talking with the boss on that one.
Yeah. Talk to the boss on that one. That'd be a cool birthday trip. I mean, not to like,
That crossed my mind more than one time. I was like, can I take my 10-year-old to Japan? I don't know.
That's a little
expensive.
Tough. Yeah, a little bit, but you never know. But we can put it out into the ether and hopefully maybe something manifests. But US Nats is going to be fun though. Minneapolis, I'll be there. I've never been to Minneapolis. Super excited. Going to try Juicy Lucy. It's going to be a good time.
What is that?
That is the, I guess, like famous burger they have that's filled with cheddar cheese or something like that, or American cheese. I don't know what kind of cheese it is.
Huh.
But I don't know if it's good. It seems like it's probably going to burn my mouth, like because the cheese is like molten inside.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But I gotta try it. I guess
why not?
When in Rome, do as the Romans do. But
that's right.
Yeah, but
in Minneapolis, do as the. How do you pluralize Minneapolites?
Minneapolites? Maybe?
I like that one better. Minneapolites is way cooler.
Yeah. Or just the Minnesotans. Sodians?
Yeah. I don't know, but like if you're specifically from Minneapolis, sound off in a comment below. Someone tell us. I'm going to check the comments because I'm curious now.
Yeah, sound off the comments. Maybe it's just twins because it's a twin city. That'd be a nice way to kind of just shorten it. But
that's a cool idea.
Yeah, we're really figuring it all out today, Steven.
This is the episode. If you wanted to tune in to some really scintillating content on Part the Mistveil, just wait until later. But right now, it's about Minneapolisans.
Yeah.
I can't be bothered to Google it. So someone in the comment section will be far better than us.
Yeah. No, please comment below. It helps the algorithm, but... Anyway, Part the Mistveil is on our doorstep. We saw pretty much every spoiler at this point, I think. At least from the box breaks, we saw all the missing pieces as far as I could tell.
Yeah.
Including the Fabled, which was very interesting. And, before we get there, we do have to say goodbye to Heavy Hitters, which in my opinion was one hell of a set. Yeah, and the best way we could do that is to do your fresh faves, some of your favorite cards from Heavy Hitters. Steven, are you ready to answer those?
Yeah. Yes, I am. Fire away, and I will tell you my thoughts.
Who was your favorite hero in Heavy Hitters?
Kasai.
Okay.
Kasai was my favorite hero in Heavy Hitters. Easy.
She was awesome. Oh, well, there you go.
Oh, yeah. I have her on the desk right here.
That is beautiful.
Look, you can see me holding Kasai in the reflection of me holding Kasai.
Oh, I thought I had mine.
That's Conception right there.
Oh my God.
Oh, there it is.
That's a treat just for the YouTube viewers.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Check it out. Kasai is awesome. Awesome. Love kind of like the anything that kind of messes around with the graveyard, I'm a fan of, and loving to see Kasai just activate like on that axis, which is pretty neat. Now, what was your favorite weapon?
Oh, let's see. I have that right here too. Hot Streak.
Oh,
Hot Streak is so cool.
Yeah.
This weapon is so cool because it allows any warrior that plays it the opportunity to just cheat out an entire card's worth of value because you play attack reactions just to give go again. And this, in a lot of matchups, can just say, hey, it's attacking for 2, and also it gives you a card's worth of value if your opponent blocks it. And sometimes they're like, cool, no blocks. And you're like, cool, here's extra damage. And then they're real sad. And I like that.
Yeah. And I love personally, especially in like Olympia, which, I loved Olympia, throwing on a like an edge ahead or something like that, or something like that onto the hot streak to kind of like make the decision even harder. Like put it up front, right? Yeah, sure, I have reactions too, but I'm gonna put this. Everything's on the table. You have to make this decision. Do you want me to have the gold and all the other stuff that I'm gonna wager? Who knows? But great choice. Equipment. Steven, what was your favorite equipment?
I mean, we have a trend going, right? We picked a warrior weapon. We picked a warrior. So we keep the continued trend and we go Grains of Bloodspill. This has been by far my favorite piece of equipment I've played with since Storm Striders.
Wow.
Because it feels so good to just have this sit on the board and activate it whenever you see fit. And like sometimes it's better to activate this and create a vigor. Sometimes it's better to throw Brave Forge and just get +1. But the fact that you get to decide in that moment gives you this feeling of like so much control. Like the world is my oyster in this moment, and you can't take it away from me unless you're losing. In which case, maybe it sucks. But
well, I mean, it is. I mean, you can always block with it. You're right. If you're on the back foot. There's the added flexibility of that card, which is, I don't know, flexibility is underrated. I always say, it's like we want things that do many different things. They don't have to be all powerful.
100%. In Flesh and Blood, you get so much value out of flexible cards. It's a game that's every card is flexible. Well, not every card, but many cards, the best cards are flexible in Flesh and Blood. And so finding even more ways to be like flexible with them, gives you a lot of value.
Amen. Now, what was your favorite run-of-the-mill card you throw into your deck? We had a lot of blocks in this set. We had, some cool attack actions and non-attack actions. What was your favorite?
My number 1 card is another warrior card. It's Blade Flurry. I'm a big fan of Blade Flurry, but if I had to go non-warrior and just do something a little bit more generic, I would still choose a warrior card. But it would be Take It on the Chin.
Oh, yeah.
Take It on the Chin is incredibly flexible. And weirdly enough, in like Kasai, this card you could just play in the sideboard and sometimes bring it in, sometimes not, but it always feels good. It's just a great card, and I love this card. So I'm a big fan of this one. And I love that it is a dual class card, meaning that brutes can also play with it and, like have some super value turns there.
Yeah, and you know what, Steven? I don't know. Brute needs a lot more help, right? These days, I don't know. It seems like.
Have you seen the state of Levia? I think they won like 3 pro quests that last week only.
Yeah.
Good lord, she needs something like a. You know how swarming Gloomveil is? She needs that, but like, better.
Maybe. Well, we'll talk about expansion slots. Maybe she got something in the expansion slots with part the Mistveil. Who knows? Maybe it sounds a lot like that. Now, I do want to ask you. Here's actually an odd question based on that kind of statement that she only won 3 pro quests at the end of the pro quest season, or at least the last week, right? So, do you think is this a lack of Levia being the business, which I think she is, and more of the brute mind and priority is being thrown at KO because it's just the more consistent deck, maybe not the most powerful, but it is the more consistent of the two. Because I do believe that Levia, numbers wise, is a lot better.
I think she has, to put it the way you phrased the question. I think she is the business. I just think it's far harder to do the things that she can do, or far more complex
Mm-hmm.
to do the things that she can do, that KO can do on an easier access, perhaps more consistently. And the consistency is the part that separates her from KO, where like he's very consistently able to do the same big sort of turns, and she could be that if the tempo swings in her favor, but there are so many little finicky like parts of her game plan that you have to parse through as the player, that if you're not able to, or if you don't even know that you need to parse through them, then you're just running into the variance of her hero ability and of her deck that just kills you. And so the best of the best players on Levia can just show you how nasty that deck is, and then everybody else is like these just shades of gray down that show you more and more of why that deck is so hard to pilot and why it's not winning so as consistently as KO. So I agree, she is the business, but holy crap, is she way more complex than she looks on paper.
It's very skill testing. I think it's
Yeah.
a tough deck, and I'm not that KO's not, but KO is a lot more forgiving for sure.
I think only cool players play Levia. So
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I haven't played a lot of Levi lately. I'm on the Riptide as of late, for
yeah, man.
a long time. But Ethan's still, waving that Levi flag, which we all appreciate. Now, part the Mistveil, we do have a slew of new talented heroes. First time since, is it Uprising? I think was the
It'd be
last
the first time
talented
since
set?
Uprising.
Yeah.
That was the last one.
And the talent is Mystic, which happens to be, as opposed to, I guess, like Light and Draconic, it is the blue focused talent.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts here when you saw the talent coming out the gate?
What are my thoughts? I was cautiously optimistic because I like the idea of like blue cards matter, but I didn't know how they were going to provide the oomph, with
Mhm.
blue cards, because with the way that cycles are structured, red cards are naturally the powerhouse cards, blue cards are naturally the resource cards, and yellow cards suck. So when you're looking at a set that's all blue cards matter, you're like, okay, but is this going to have any like pop or any power or any spikes or any bombs or anything like that? Or is it going to be a little bit more grindy and everyone's playing like sort of understated things? And I think as they've shown these spoilers off more and more, I've been so impressed with how they've taken this idea of cycles and blue cards in general and allowed you to feel like the blue cards you're playing are incredibly powerful, even though it's like one damage
Mhm.
or ward two. You know what I mean? Like that's really cool with regards to how they've designed the set. And I want to play it a couple of times in paper, in person, before I really kind of put my final judgment on it. But I'm very optimistic with how this set has turned out so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of to kick it off, I do want to talk about, especially since we just lost Dromai, right? We have now the blue illusionist, right? Enigma, Ledger of Ancestry. We also got a different Enigma as well. We'll talk about that in a second. But let's just talk about the one that we're going to be playing in CC and in Limited here, and Blitz as well if you want. But it might be overshadowed by a different one. I don't know. Enigma is, to me, it seems like one of the first kind of non-phantasm illusionists. This is our ward illusionist, right? We've seen a lot of stuff like, I forget, it was a Dynasty. We got a whole bunch of ward payoffs or kind
Yeah.
of set up for ward. And now we're getting this full-on Mystic ward hero.
Mhm.
And her hero ability reads: the first spectral shield attack each turn costs one less to activate, and then it has a once per turn instant, pay 3 chi, create a spectral shield token with a +1 counter, and her weapon also says I gotta find it actually. I forget what
I have it
the-
right here. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead and read it, buddy.
Oh, it's called Cosmo, just like the fairy from the Fairly Odd Parents. Scroll of Ancestral Tapestry. And it is a two-handed scroll, and it says during your turn, auras you control with ward are actually weapons with base attack equal to their ward. And the text that says once per turn action, pay one resource to attack. And then your aura attacks with one or more counters on them, get go again.
Which it all ties together, and we see in this card pool there's a ton of ward in this set.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's going to be a big focus, especially in the limited aspect, but I imagine, and from what I've seen, it's going to be a big aspect of the constructed deck as well. Now, what were your takes on this Illusionist? Because ward in a lot of ways has a lot of weaknesses, right? You know, Vincent is brought up almost every single time Enigma's brought up at this point. So what were your thoughts here?
Well, so when we first saw the hero effect and the hero ability, I thought it was going to lead more into the dynasty cards that you mentioned earlier, the ones that pay off for spectral shields. I thought there would be a little bit more spectral shield generation in like just the strictest sense of the term, and just like this card says, like create some spectral shields, that sort of thing. And then when we saw the weapon with the connection to ward, that turned everything on its head, because the card pool that we had for ward before this set was very limited. And so it was really kind of everything hinged upon what cards they give in this set for how this hero was actually going to function. And I will say this is the hero that I've done the least bit of prep work on as far as deck building and like messing around with, because I've been just absolutely consumed by another hero right now. But she's one that I feel like has made the most splash with regards to the amount of people that want to play her, and the amount of craziness that you can do with a secondary maybe spot slotting in for new. And it's quite intriguing. I think there's a lot of really interesting things and cool ways that you can tie in the old with the new cards that we've been given. Like you look back at the Everfest auras like haze bending, making a possible play because it creates a spectral shield. You look at the what is the, not Enigma, the Phantom, what is it called? Phantom Tide Maw, I think, was the expansion slot card that just like was doing nothing.
Yeah.
It had no purpose until this moment, and now it is very purposeful. Like these cards, I think it's really cool when you design these cards that at first look innocuous and then finally get their payoff. I'm very interested to see how people take her. I think she could be a little bit finicky because, as you mentioned, Ward is a little bit finicky, but I think it might be very cool and very fair for the first time, perhaps in forever, for an illusionist.
Yeah. That was my initial take too. It's like, this one's the illusionist that doesn't feel like, all right, like we're not playing a game of flesh and blood anymore, right? Like this one feels like truly balanced, at least from what I can tell here. And there's a decent amount, not a ton of like this can't be prevented effects. Vincent is the one, right? Like that people look at, and that is kind of a silver bullet against Enigma here, right? It takes
100%.
one rune chant or one non-attack action, then a rune chant, right? And then all of a sudden, boom, everything's gone. And Murkmire Grapple is going to be a huge player in all the remaining Rangers that are playing. And then, I mean, who knows? Maybe Rock sees some play if Enigma becomes really good. I doubt that, but it'd be kind of funny. Now, I do think there is a world, and I want to get your thoughts on this, a world where those strategies like Vincent, which is kind of always been kind of C tier, it might get better with an expansion slot, we'll see, where Vincent's kept out of the meta, Enigma can thrive. But I don't think Enigma can never be the best deck, which is probably good. I think no deck should really be the best deck for at least a long period of time. Do you think there's a world where Enigma just is a role filler and that doesn't need to worry about things like Vincent? That's the only thing. I just look at this hero, I'm like, how do they deal with that? I mean, maybe it's just a different strategy.
I think so. Here's the thing about Flesh and Blood. I think it's okay, first of all, first and foremost, it's okay to have a really bad matchup in a
Mm-hmm.
game, period, end of story. It's okay if your hero is unfavored. That is fine. Nothing should be 100% 50-50. Otherwise, you're playing chess
Yeah.
with extra steps. Like, why are we doing this if everything's a 50-50? The variance adds to the game, and some people don't want to admit that, and they're wrong. But the variance adds to the game. Now, of course, it doesn't feel good to play into a 90-10 or a 10-90 from that perspective. But at the same time, good players start to get some of those percentage points back. And I think Enigma into Vinset on paper looks like an unwinnable matchup because, oh no, they stopped the one thing that I want to do. But good players will decide when is the right time to develop a board, when is the wrong time to develop a board, when is the right time to use ward effectively, and when is the right time to try and preserve it. And they won't overcommit to a board just to be blown up by a singular rune chant. That being said, yeah, it may not be a very good matchup for Enigma, even with the best players in the world playing Enigma and trying to figure out how, to shave percentage points into the Vinset matchup. But then again, I mean, it's Vinset, people.
Yeah.
Are we forgetting that that's a hero with 3 intellect? Like, I spoiled that hero. It's got 3 intellect. I think I remember that one. I read the card. And she's got an uphill battle herself. I mean, in some ways, it's kind of like all shadow heroes, except Chain. Like Levia, I guess I should just say Levia. It's kind of like Levia. Levia has things you have to play against that she does fundamentally to herself, and the same thing is true of Vinset. Maybe Vinset will start to make some headway, and maybe people will jump onto it. But at the same time, it's still an underserved hero right now. So, I mean, if your deck is worried about an underrepresented, underserved hero, then welcome to the game because we all have it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it does remind me, like, especially the, talking about blowouts, right? Like, back when I played Magic, like the aggro deck, you didn't, when you played against something that had like a board wipe or whatever, you didn't want to play all of your creatures or your permanents just for it to get blown out. So like it's going to play a little bit more like that, and it's probably be a learning curve on how to play it. I mean, a Riptide to me sometimes feels unwinnable into Victor. But, it's not unwinnable. I've won against Victor. It's that's a serious uphill battle. But that is...
It's the same thing from the Kasai perspective into Riptide. It's like, well, geez, I mean, like, I can't take any damage. Otherwise, I'm just going to get chipped to pieces. And I have to swing naked swords that are just not good. I mean, that exists in the game already.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay for a new hero to come out and have a scary matchup, especially when that scary matchup is not very good right now.
Yeah. No, definitely not very good right now. But, but are there any cards, before we move on to the next hero, any cards that really stood out to you that we saw over the weekend from Enigma? At least it's like wow, this is cool. I can't wait to mess around with this.
I mean, how do we not talk about the 10,000 year reunion? First of all, that was my favorite spoiler video of this entire season. And I was so hyped to watch that on Hit Effect spoiler video. Gave me like some serious Organian Tome vibes, if you know that YouTube channel.
Oh, of course.
Gave me some serious vibes there. Some people were, kind of connecting it to like heuristic studies from Magic the Gathering, which I could see the connection. It's a mini documentary, sure.
Yeah.
But that card's crazy because it says Ward 10. And I don't know. People were also like, this card kills Kano. And I'm like, you don't understand how Kano functions if you think that's the truth. But okay, we'll say it kills Kano. Tell me again how you're going to instant speed this out in response after you've used all your energy. But sure, okay, we'll go with that. Anyway, I think it's a pretty cool card. And Ward 10, I saw resolved in a game yesterday with some friends who were playing a game and testing. And someone played Ward 10, and then the opponent proceeded to say, well, I just lost the game, and went about their day.
Wow. They couldn't do anything.
Well, they took care of it, but they were so far behind that it's basically like playing ALS, which I've heard is a good card.
ALS. I hear there's a loop about that? I don't know.
No, yeah, I don't think so. You can cut all your time snap potions.
Yeah,
Doesn't exist anymore.
No, definitely not. Now, new. New is new. And old is new. No, new is only new. New is the new
Everything
assassin.
old is new again.
Yeah. New is also, I think, maybe the most hyped up hero out of the set, from what I've seen, right? People, first of all, love Assassin for good reason. And we have this cool mystic assassin hero who has pretty cool ability here. Your attacks with stealth get, when this chain link resolves, banish all action cards defending this. So rather than go to the graveyard, they'll just go to the banish zone. Also, she also has another effect that says instant. Pay 3 chi. Look at the top card of an opposing hero's deck. If it's blue, you may banish it. Until end of turn, you may play blue cards from that hero's banish zone without paying their resource costs. Now, this is a very, very cool way to punish blocking with blues. Obviously, it's going to be a very powerful thing within the limited sphere of this, but most heroes play at least some number of blues. 5 being probably the only one left that doesn't really play many, but still does. So, what's your take on new? New's very exciting for a lot of reasons.
I buried the lead earlier, but new is the hero that I've been absolutely just wrapped up in, and that is not a pun. I've just been playing the game, and it has been incredible. She is so freaking cool as a design. So, again, when Arachne came out, I got to spoil Arachne, which meant that I got to think about like Arachne for a long time, and so I was really excited to play Arachne when Arachne debuted. So I played a ton of Assassin right out the gate. And then Azuri came along, and I played a good bit of Blitz Azuri for a while before shifting over to like Kano and stuff again. And I enjoyed both of those play styles. Like this, it was a very mid-range kind of make your cards matter and like pivot your focus from like turn cycle to turn cycle. Sometimes it's like I need to take more cards from them. Sometimes it's like I want to take cards off the top of their deck or banish more cards just because I want their options to be limited. And New has all of that and so much freaking more. It's insane. She has all of that, and yet she's so much more nuanced and like just pays you off. Yes, that one was for you. Pays you off in so many cool freaking ways that this deck is incredible. It's so amazing. And all of her cards are good. Like even the bad cards are good. Like everything about this hero seems so much fun. And it's hard not to just like queue up and play more of New.
Yeah. I will say I played against I would say 90%. So you go into the open format stuff at Talishar, kind of test out the new cards. 90% of the matchups have been New. People are hype on New, right? I will say I think I have a 100% win rate against New, but I'm playing Riptide. I think it's a relatively good matchup for Riptide, but I could see the matchups where New just totally takes over, right? And the card that stands out to me, right, is Mask of Recurring Nightmares. This card is insane. It honestly feels so taxing and oppressive. Not oppressive. I shouldn't say oppressive because it doesn't feel like I don't want to play this game anymore. It feels like, man, I got to think about, do they have the chi in hand? Because I could be in real trouble. For the people who don't know, it is a 2-block Blade Break legendary headpiece that says once per turn attack reaction, pay 3 chi. Target defending hero banishes a card from their hand.
Yep.
Pretty crazy. I mean,
it's not even discard. It's better than Coronet Peak. It's not pitch or pitch or discard. It's just it's gone. And not only is it gone, it's gone to a place where I could access it if you have a blue left over after making your initial blocks. Like that card is so good. It's so nuts. It's just like, what? That's so great. And it's so well made too. This is what I'm just like fanboying over LSS's design on this one. Just for this hero specifically, because it's so well made that it's not overpowered. Like it's not oppressive as you described it, but it's incredibly powerful. And you can go down the list of her deck, and it's the same thing. Like Bonds of Agony. Bonds of Agony is a 0-cost blue 3-block majestic that attacks for 1, has stealth, so it triggers her effect. If they block on it, it's going to banish cards, right? And then it says if you've played or activated 3 or more attacks this combat chain, blow up everything that they love. I'm pretty sure that's on there somewhere, but it also says it gets +3 when it hits a hero. You get to look at their hand and pick a card, and then search their deck and their graveyard and get rid of all the like 3 cards, up to 3 cards with the same name. So like I was playing a game last night against a KO, and this connected after I played 3 attack reactions, and the only card left in their hand was a Beast Within. So I got rid of all the Beast Withins because the other 2 were in the deck, and so they had no more Beast Within in that game. Right? It's like random stuff like that is just so punishing. And it's funny because it's a 1 attack. It attacks for 1. And if you're holding like 1 card in hand, and you have like 1 piece of equipment with attack reaction on the board, your opponent's like, here's my hand. Take all 4 cards. You can't do your thing. And you're like, why, thank you, madam. I will. It's just so good. It's so good.
It really is. And like, she's not pushing the most damage, right? Like you just mentioned, it's coming in for 1, but it's doing like powerful things. But like she puts the opponent in this kind of interesting situation where they're just like got to sit there and be like, I think I might have to take the next turn off because of what's going on here, which is like, that's a brutal way to play the game sometimes. And I do love, this is, I think, you know, as far as I could tell and remember, this is the most like really, really impactful, powerful attack reactions in like a large scale we've seen in the game in a long time. We got like Gorgon's Gaze, Siren's Call, all these like really, really good attack reactions. And it's like, it makes you think like this is not just attack and block anymore. Like, you don't have to think about like the pummels and stuff. And I want to say, I love that a lot of the 1 attacks are playable and new because one of my favorite cards from Outsiders, Looking for a Scrap, is like, I mean, like it was already pretty playable in Assassin.
I hadn't even thought about Looking for a Scrap.
But I mean, that was a 1 for 5 go again. I always like that card. So I don't know. I mean, any other cards stand out for you and new?
I think the other majestic, I forgot the name of it, but it's very similar in look to the previous one I mentioned. Let me see if I can pull it up. Hold on. Where is it? I have my phone right here. Persuasive Prognosis, which has just blown me away with its bottom half of its text. It's a 0-cost 1 attack as well. But it says when this hits a hero, banish the top card of their deck, then look at their hand, banish a card of the same color. So you get to banish 2 cards, which a couple of like rares do that same exact thing, banishes 2 cards. But the best part about it says whenever this banishes an action card, gain 1. So if it hits and banishes 2 cards, if they're action cards, you gain a life. If both of them are actions, you gain 2 life. If your opponent double blocks this because they know you have a hiss in arsenal, which happened to me yesterday, you gain 2 life because they block with action cards most likely. So like in low life totals, this just makes you start winning the game because they're giving you cards and you're getting life out of it. It's like the perfect succubus like connection, which is exactly what we see on the card as well, by the way.
Yeah. They are pretty brutal. And then like tied with Just a Nick, which is the which is obviously like I feel like the marquee attack reaction out of the set because for those who don't know, it's a 0-cost red majestic attack reaction assassin. It blocks for 3, which is also not nothing. It says target attack action card with 1 or less base attack gets +5. And then target attack with stealth gets, when this hits a hero, banish the top card of their deck. Just even with Persuasive Prognosis, it's like a match made in heaven. It's just so powerful.
Yeah, it's nuts. This card's incredible. And again, kudos to LSS for designing a set that pays you off for doing stuff with blues that isn't pitching them. Because again, when we look at how cycles work, we are incentivized heavily to pitch our blue cards and not to play them. But this is encouraging us to play our blue cards, not just, what we've talked about now, but also just the whole energy idea. It's encouraging us to play blue cards rather than pitch them, which is something we've never really wanted to do on this scale. I think that's really incredible. That's one of the reasons why I think this is a great set.
Yeah, and I think continuing the trend here is I want to talk about Zen, Tamer of Purpose. This is the hero that I'm the most excited about. I haven't even played around with him yet. I just kind of like the Crouching Tiger kind of thing going on here, and that's the only ability he has on his hero text. He's regular 4 intellect, 40 health, but he has once per turn instant, pay 3 chi, create a Crouching Tiger in your hand, and then search your deck for a card with combo, banish it, then shuffle. You may play it this turn. I know that sounds a lot like just a Katsu trigger that you need to pay for, but guess what? A lot of his cards care about Crouching Tigers. And on top of that, and I guess we should say, I didn't mention, but if you don't know, transcending and chi comes from certain cards have transcend. You flip them, they're chi resources. They pitch for 3 chi resources, which I think can also pitch for regular blue as well. But they are the way you activate these abilities. And, this is a hero that it's high. I feel like not personally, maybe because I'm seeing so much hype around Enigma and New, but I feel like I think Zen should be a little bit more in the conversation. I understand there's some hard counters to what he's doing, but he had the most kind of infrastructure already built in, right? We've seen Crouching Tiger stuff, and some Katsus even played it. Now we have a whole set's worth of support for it. What are your thoughts on Zen?
I was actually, before I saw any of the other spoilers or cards, he was also the hero that I was most excited to try out, because I also love all the Crouching Tiger stuff. I was really hyped that they were bringing Crouching Tiger as an archetype. I've been a big believer for a long time that archetypes in Flesh and Blood should be more explored, that we should have 3 archetypes, 4 archetypes for any given hero that could play those out. And when you sit down, you don't know which one you're up against. I think that's a fantastic way to play a game. It may be frustrating to high level players. I get that, but I don't care, because I think it's really fun to have the capacity to sit down and see Brainstorm Kano or Combo Kano or Defense Reaction Stat Kano. I find that enjoyable. And so it was really cool to see them pushing the idea of the archetype with all of the Crouching Tigers and just going super wide and that sort of thing. I have been puzzled by how to go about building his deck, and I've sat down on multiple occasions and I've just thrown cards at the wall, and I've been absolutely puzzled by it because he can be built almost too many different ways. The fact that he can play like 28 combo lines, because they've just made 28 random combo lines that are out there now, is both exciting and horrifying, because I have no idea what's good. I have no clue if I should play that combo line or this one, but I'm going to try it until I get sick of losing, and then I'll go to the next one, because I think it's really amazing that it doesn't have to be just Crouching Tiger, that all the combo lines are, basically at your disposal. And off of the back of like multiple cards, not just his hero effect, but like multiple cards give you payoff for running other combo lines. So I am very optimistic and also incredibly terrified to try and sit down and figure that deck out, because there's just so many things that you can do with him.
Yeah, there really are, and I just feel like it's going to be like we're primed for like a ninja meta, right? I think it's been a little bit of time, right? Like Katsu's like kind of creeping up there, right? Katsu had a pretty good ProQuest season. Fi, like I don't know, Fi is super, I guess inconsistent, but like can do it.
He can pop off, but man, he is just at this point not going toe to toe with some of those other heroes that can just do it better.
Yeah, but Zen seems like has this kind of like Crouching Tigers just read OTK to me, right? Like in some kind of way, I know there's going to be people just throwing a ton of tigers at you. And sure, there's going to be ways around that. People, if that becomes popular, people will be packing this round's on me again and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And different, I mean, collapsing trap's pretty cool too, but you know, but you know, I'm excited for Zen and are there any like standout cards for you for Zen? I know that it's probably he's the least looked at, right? In my opinion, in the general ethos, but
probably from the community. Yeah.
Yeah. What's some cards you're looking at here?
So the one that made me go, holy crap, that's a card, is Shifting Winds of the Mystic Beast. It's a 1-cost blue 3-block ninja action that says whenever you play a Crouching Tiger this turn, you get to name a card, and it's just that. It's just that name. So literally every combo finisher. Do you see why this is freaking me out? Every combo finisher can go into your deck if you have enough copies of Shifting Winds of the Mystic Beast, because you can just name your Crouching Tiger the previous combo chain that you need to trigger combo on Find Center, and now you can make a Zen State token. It's Crane Dance, by the way. You can say Crane Dance, and then you go Find Center, and then poof, you have a Zen State token. Like, you can do the same thing for like the Dishonor line, and you can start dishonoring people not in Katsu. And it's just like, what? This card exists, and it means that you can play everything. It's just insane.
It is crazy, and I think this is going to be probably Zen's biggest kind of boon, right? Because you don't know. Like you mentioned, like heroes having multiple archetypes, and sure, Crouching Tigers is going to be an archetype, but within that archetype you can have multiple other archetypes for Zen, where like, what combo is this person caring about, and how do I play around it? Because that's like the biggest learning curve against like Katsu and Phi to a certain extent. So it's going to be really interesting. Zen's very exciting, very exciting.
I think the other card that I saw that I was like, oh yeah, this is incredibly powerful is Maul, a 0-cost yellow 3-block attack reaction. That's basically the same thing as Just a Nick. It's like that power level, because you get to choose both options if you want, and one of them's giving Crouching Tiger +3, and then the other ones, when it hits, create 2 more Crouching Tigers. It's like, I mean, if you don't block or if you block this one, I'll just do it on the next Crouching Tiger, and then I'll get 2 more Tigers. Yeah, that's pretty solid. That's a really good card.
It is really sweet. I'm a big fan of Territorial Domain as well, which is the ninja defense reaction. Blue, cost 0, blocks for 2, but if while this is defending, if you've created a Crouching Tiger this turn, it gets +3. 0 for 5 block. It's so cool.
You just got to make a Crouching Tiger. So
yeah, which I believe you should be able to do with his hero ability.
You can use it,
right?
Yeah, you can also use Tiger Eye Reflex, the defense react, or the block card, I mean, that you can play from your arsenal. So that's the way I was thinking about it. So you just Tiger Eye Reflex, get that Crouching Tiger, and then go for it. Because I think it creates it. Does it create it in your hand? It creates it in your banish zone. But you've created one, right?
Yeah,
so you should be good from there, right?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, and then there you go. There's another archetype, Steven.
Yeah, defensive. I think that's the way that he will actually be built, is more of a mid-range sort of like Turtle Katsu, which is why they're making Flick Flack the like promo they're giving people, that like alternate art Flick Flack. So I think Flick Flack is back.
Oh yeah. It was never gone, Steven. It was never gone. But those are the 3 heroes. I do want to touch briefly on Enigma New Moon, which is I don't even understand this, to be honest with you. I saw it and I was like, okay, what's going on? So Enigma New Moon is a legendary Mystic Illusionist hero, young, 4 intellect, 20 health. It says equipment you own get cloaked, equip them face down, and then it has instant, pay 3 chi, turn, target face down, equipment you have equipped face up. If it has ward, create 3 spectral shield tokens. I believe it only comes in a special like gold pack in the box.
Yeah, I believe it does. And it's not the only card that you can get out of that pack too. You can get other cards, which is the really interesting part.
Do we not know those other cards?
I don't think so. I don't think we know them, but I've heard that you can get other cards as well. So like, I don't know like if there's like drop rates, or if that's just complete hearsay. It could just be complete hearsay, and maybe Enigma is the only thing that you get out of it. But I mean, I don't know. I have a very suspicious feeling that we could be getting more than just Enigma in that slot, which makes it really interesting, right?
A Zen, a new Zen, a new Zoo, a new. Oh
That was
man,
my thought. Yeah, that
yeah,
was my thought, is just give more versions of the young heroes, right?
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's a great way to support UPF and Blitz. I'm a fan of that, and I don't know. I mean, I hope we get to. I mean, well, I guess I'm going to buy some boxes now. Unfortunately, maybe not. Unfortunately, but
What if it was like one, like what if it was not mapped but like charted out, like one in every 4 cases? Would you buy 4 cases?
yeah. I mean, I think it would probably be worth. I mean, I don't know if it'd be worth it. I shouldn't say worth it. I should say it would probably make sense in my brain that it's worth it if I pulled one, right?
Sure.
You know, man, but it's cool. It's cool. I don't. They're going to be super rare and expensive, like more so than like
Maybe.
Shiana, I guess. Maybe, or maybe they
Probably, yeah.
not. So
We'll find out. This
interesting.
is new. This is new for Flesh and Blood.
This is new. Now, expansion slots. We did get a nice slew of them. Are there any that stick out to you? The number one that sticks out to me is, of course, Murky Waters, or just Murky Water. The new.
What do you think about that card?
I love it. To be honest with you, this is it's a killer finisher in the deck. It changes the way I build it, that's for sure, and it makes me
Yeah.
want to play Barb Castaway again. Which, to be fair, I always loved Barb Castaway. Right? It's a flexible card that.
I actually liked it too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of the builds moved away from it. A lot of Dreadbore being played. I play a lot of Dreadbore. People play Death Dealer, and then even some people will go Sandscour Bow.
Yep.
But Barb Castaway, I would love a reason to play Barb Castaway. And to me, Murky Water is that reason. And it also gives me a nice reason to play more blues, which I like a good blue. So what are your thoughts? What were your thoughts on Murky Water?
When I first saw it, I was like, okay, do I care about when this hits? I can just grab 3 more traps. And then I was like, yeah, of course I care. Why would I not care? I can grab every legendary trap if it's late game, and now I just have access to those, which is fantastic. It's like a random one, but I still get one, and it's very powerful. Or I can just like look at the matchup and be like, okay, what gets me 1 damage here? Any of these 3, and then any of them that land get me 1 damage, and my opponent doesn't know which one it is, but it doesn't matter because it's probably going to trigger, and so they know that they're going to take 1 damage, and that's pretty cool. And the fact that it's a 2 for 6 is also pretty solid, because I like the idea of just being able to push extra damage in arrow form. But it is kind of expensive, so it forces you to kind of build the resource curve differently,
Mm-hmm.
and forces you to maybe consider if you want to lean into the aim counter side of things or just play it as a vanilla 2 for 6. I mean, both ways. Like I could see decks doing that. I could see decks going, no, I'm just going to play the deck as is, add more blues, and play this card because it's a 2 for 6 that has a pretty good on hit. And other decks going, yeah, I'm just going to full commit to playing, Sandscour Greatbow or Barbed Castaway, and just committing to getting Dominate and then throw in more Aim Splash. Again, they've taken these cards and allowed you to build multiple archetypes. And that's just, I've wanted that for so long for this game, that it's cool to see it finally coming around.
It really is. And I'm a huge fan of just because the aim counter thing is so cool, right? And it is a payoff for a lot of different cards. So it's nice to see another reason to try to even push you that way. Shadow Realm Horror, you alluded to earlier. This is a new Levia card. It's pretty good. 2 for 6.
Why do they even need it? She won 3 pro quests. Like, that's a lot of pro quests.
It
She
is.
doesn't need that.
Well, you know what? Brute players will never stop wanting more. Now, Shadow Realm Horror, and I should say Murky Water. I didn't even read what the card does. It's a 2 for 6, blocks 3, arrow, Riptide specialization. If it has an aim counter, it gets +1 in Dominate, which is important. And then when this hits, you may banish face down 3 traps from your graveyard. If you do, choose 1 at random, put in your arsenal. To give context to what we were just talking about. But Shadow Realm Horror, as an additional cost to play this, banish 3 random cards in your graveyard, like most Levia cards. It's a 2 for 6 that blocks 3. If 1 or more cards with 6 or more attack are banished this way, this gets +1. If 2 or more, it gets go again. If 3 or more, you may play a card banished this way this turn, and then it also has Blood Debt. This card's insane.
No, I disagree. I think it's just mediocre.
Oh, okay. Do you?
No, I'm just kidding. This card's insane. You're 100% right. This card's insane. I actually don't know why they printed this card, but I don't care. I think it's cool. I think that's really cool that Levia players get another very powerful card. Again, I think it's a very powerful deck, but it's one of those decks that is incredibly complex. And weirdly enough, this is a card that its sheer power dumbs the deck down a little bit for the masses, right? So not just Ethan Van Sant can play this hero and have success. I think that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to have a hero that can be accessible to even just like the journeyman flesh and blood player, which I'm probably more on that end than I am on the high competitive player side of things. And so I think that's okay that a card this powerful exists, because I think on paper, on the face of it, it is very powerful. And it just means that like players can just play really good cards and like figure out how the deck works that way. And that's just fine versus like, okay, now I need to think about if I'm supposed to block with this piece of equipment on the first attack or the second attack so that it goes into the graveyard at the right time so that when I trigger this effect, I have this in the graveyard and I have 5% more chance to hit it versus the other. It's like, yeah, that's Kano stuff, man. Like not every hero has to do that. I don't know. I think it's good. I think it's a good card.
Yeah, good card. Excited to see. And then I think the only one worth noting that we hadn't really seen before was Eloquent Eulogy. Shadow Runeblade action, attack, 4 attack, 3 block, cost 1, it's a red. It has Rune Gate and Blood Debt, and then it says when the combat chain closes, if a hero has lost life this turn, create an Eloquence token. This card is very good and is a certain push for Vincent.
Yeah.
A 1-cost Rune Gate's huge.
It's not a 1 cost. It's not a 1 cost. It's a 0 cost.
Yeah,
because remember, she has to banish a card from her hand. So if the only card in her hand is this, she banishes it, creates a rune chant. This card is always free.
Yeah.
The only time it's not free is if you put it in your arsenal. And then it's cost 1.
Yeah.
And then it's still a good play, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this card's nuts. Anyone that tells you otherwise has not played Vincent. I will tell you that. That's a hero I got to spoil, like I mentioned earlier, and I played a hell of a lot of Vincent when it first came out. I played every version of Vincent that you possibly could, because again, when I get to spoil a hero, that means a lot to me. And then I want to play that hero a whole lot because I know about that hero beforehand. And it's like, I just want to try this out. I just want to play it. That deck needed a card like this so badly.
Mm-hmm.
So badly. It does not necessarily push it into like the high tiers, in my opinion, but it certainly does something.
Yeah, this is going to be, I mean, like, it definitely pushes Vincent above C tier, I would say. And gosh, I mean, this card's insane.
Probably, yeah.
And, you know, I will say also, like, for the Living Legends format, I mean, I think you play this in Chain. I think, no doubt. I mean, that's.
Yeah, I mean, the Runegate version of Chain is actually, like, in Blitz was, like, the better version at the end of his lifespan. So I can't see why this wouldn't be.
I mean, just you activate Grasp and go off, which is pretty good. Now,
yeah,
that's like all there is to really cover on part of Mistveil in terms of our first impressions. It seems like a really awesome set.
No. We're not talking about Kindle.
Oh, Kindle.
We're not talking about Kindle.
Oh, yeah. Well, I forgot about that one.
We're not talking about Kindle. I've seen a couple of people be like, this card's bad, this card's mid. Maybe they're probably better players than me, but I've played with this card.
Card's insane.
It's really good. It is a blue pitch, 0 cost draw. It's an E-pot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it looks like a red pitch, but really what it says is play this, draw a card that ends up being a blue. That's what it says. It says play this, draw a blue, and activate Ragamuffin's hat so that you can find like another blue. Like, that's so. This card's good. It's a Metacarpus node trigger plus an E-pot.
Yeah, it's gonna
like
be
anyone that plays Kano how I don't get it. I don't get it. People that play Kano look at this card and say it's mid.
Uh,
Why?
I don't know. I mean, I've only seen Kano players get excited about this card, but the Kano players I know love pitch stack Kano, and maybe a lot of Kano players don't want to do pitch stack stuff. This
isn't a pitch stack card to me.
I mean,
like,
you could play it normally, but like on the pitch stack, like this is how you get past like Enigma's Ward and stuff like that. Like if you're worried about like a huge wall of prevention, this card is gas.
It is gas. It is indeed gas. And I mean, the fact that Enigma exists maybe deletes Kano as a hero, but maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I haven't tried that yet. What I do know is that this card is objectively solid.
Yeah.
And it makes you build the deck slightly differently, but when you do, you're rewarded immensely. And if you like Aether Spindle and opting, this card feels quite good. Quite good indeed.
Certainly does. And I'm sorry, Kano players, I didn't mention Kano or Kindle. I was off by one, just like you guys. We do have some listener questions for you, Steven, if you're willing to answer
cool. Let's
them.
do it. Yeah.
First comes from William from the Table Pit, which we love that channel over there. Made a really sweet Ivy League crest for the Fresh and Buds channel, which is awesome. I might be putting it on the Patreon Talishar sleeve things if I can figure that out and send it over to Jotrick. Cool. It's gonna be very cool. William asked, will I be upset if the last card in pack 1 of MST draft is a red?
Like you actually low key might be, because blues are pretty good, man. Blues are pretty good, but at the same time, probably not. It depends on the card, though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you remember when everyone was upset about getting yellows at the end of the draft? I guess every set, but specifically for bright lights, people were like, got past the banana. It's the banana time. Everyone's getting yellows. Like, could have that with reds. I don't know.
It's a hard one to kind of theorize until we all get our hands on it in a week or so. Darth Prentice, aka Greg, asked, how often will Cosmic Awakening at the 3rd Chi level successfully happen in Limited? And additionally, which Mystic Hero has the best chance of pulling it off in CC? Now, for those of you who don't know, Cosmic Awakening is the big 9-cost Mystic card, I believe.
Yep. It costs 9, it blocks 3, and it says if one Chi was pitched to play this alongside of the other resources, its attack is, I believe it's 10. And then if 2 Chi is pitched this way, it's 15. And then if 3 Chi is pitched, or 3 or more Chi, which is an interesting stipulation, 3 or more Chi were pitched to play this, its attack is 20. Mm-hmm. And the question being, at the 3rd Chi level, meaning pushing for 20 in Limited, how often? Once in a blue moon.
I see what you did there. Yeah, probably not that often. But in CC, though, I think there's probably a good chance.
I actually could have resolved it as playing as new in a game recently, and I chose to not, in favor of playing a 1 attack. Those were my decision points. It was like, resolve this. It wasn't for 20. I will say that it wasn't for 20. It was for 15. No, it was for the 1. It was so I had it plus 1 Chi in hand, so it was for 10. But instead, no, I played a 1 attack that was going to heal me, and I was gonna triple attack react on it and make them suffer, and I won the game. So I guess it was the right choice.
It was the right choice. I think maybe Enigma might have a good shot of doing it. To be honest, like it seemed, and I like this a blue that you can pitch it with all your other cheese and stuff like that, so you can kind of set it up for late game. I mean, swinging for 20 is no joke. Now, Sigma asks, do you feel there's kind of mixing or maturing of the MST classes into each MST hero? I guess, like Zen as Katsu plus Phi, or new Arachne plus Uzuri, and Enigma as Dromai plus Prism. So, like, do you find that it's kind of like a combination?
So I wrote articles for MinMax Games, actually. Check out their website. I wrote articles for each of these heroes, and that was basically the predominant point from all of the articles, is that each of these heroes are sort of Flesh and Blood's way of making the quintessential version of that class. So like when you look at Enigma, you look at like the board matters and like protection matters, but also like attacking with your board matters. And that's what we get with Enigma. When you look at new, it's so many of these different it's both stealth matters, contract could matter because of banishing, and then daggers matter. It's like taking everything that you know about each hero and each class, I should say, and rolling it into one succinct thing. These were disparate card pools. Crouching Tiger was over here, and then combo cards were over here, and they didn't really mix.
Mm-hmm.
But these heroes are allowing all of the disparate card pools to coalesce into one hero. You can build it a billion different ways, but it gives you value in both. You're not just, I am only Crouching Tiger. I am only these combo lines. It's both. I'm not just Contract Azuri. I'm not just Stealth Arachne Solitary Confinement. I am weaving those card pools together. And that's why I was super hyped. And you could probably read it if you look at those articles. I was super hyped about all three of these heroes because I think they did a damn fine job of putting them together and creating like a great coalescence of those classes.
Yeah, it's a great way to look at it, and it makes me even more excited now. The last question comes from Capolo, who has, we saw a yellows matters set, then we saw a red, and now a blue matters set. Are we ever going to see a no pitch value matters set? Isn't that every other set?
It would be kind of cool though if we did have a set where there were a bunch of cards that were dead,
Mm-hmm.
like no resource pitch that could be generated from them, and like if you like a necromancer set, right? If you have a dead card, then get some benefit, right? Or your dead cards actually pitch for one, and like Gorganian Tome now can be pitched. You know what I mean? Like that would be kind of cool, actually.
That would be kind of neat. Getting 3 different kind of heroes that care about it. That'd be some kind of talent.
Yeah, like you could do something with that. But I think it's cool from a design perspective. Like everyone looks at all the levers that you can pull. Okay, we can change this number. We can change this number. But I feel like less looked at is what happens when you take away a lever.
Mm-hmm.
Usually that's a worse thing, right? Like this card can't be pitched. That must mean that the effect is really powerful to compensate. But what happens when you take away that and then you put on the hero effect? Well, those cards all become reds.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so now everything looks a little different. Like all the cards function a little differently than they did. And what did you do? You just printed a hero and maybe some more cards that didn't have pitch values, right? It's the same thing we saw with Prism, where like all of a sudden yellow cards mattered. What happens when you have a 0 card or 0 pitch card that matters? Like they could do stuff with that.
Yeah.
The absence of a stat,
Yeah, I'm trying to think of all the cards without pitch values. Gorganian Tome. There's that shadow one, right? That banishes.
There's a couple. Let's see.
Yeah. It would be cool.
Pull it up.
It'd be cool. That'd be a great necromancer kind of thing to do. I mean, sure,
right?
I think people want to do allies, and maybe that would mix into the mix there. But I guess like allies don't even have a pitch strip either, so them getting destroyed could be, something. I don't know.
It would be interesting, right?
Yeah, but thank you for the question, Capolo. Now we're going down another rabbit hole. Another podcast about to start where we talk about.
Let's design it right now. That's what we'll do. Now.
We got this one, LSS. All right, we're gonna. Yeah.
You just relax. You just rest.
We're on the case right now.
You've taken care of business.
What are we looking at here?
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know.
What are we looking at here?
I don't know.
I was trying to find a way to search for Gorganian Tome, or search for cards with no pitch. There's got to be more than just a card with no pitch besides Gorganian Tome, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's that shadow card, right? That or
what shadow card? It
banishes each arsenal. I think that had no pitch.
Curses. There, Fabrary. Tell us a way. Choose a rarity. That's not it. Set. No.
Let's see.
Specialization type.
Oh.
Cost. Defense. Like there's a pitch option, but then there's no pitch option. Maybe it is only Gorganian Tome.
Maybe it's a Link Organian Tome. Well, to call in, folks. We don't know what's going on.
Leave a comment down below on how to figure this out.
Leave a
If
comment.
You've been watching an hour in to this wonderful podcast where we've talked about lots of cool Mistveil stuff. Let us know.
Let us know. Now, that is going to bring it to the end of the podcast. And I want you, first of all, thank you for hopping on the show. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, Stephen. And
thank you for having me. It's been good.
Can you please plug everything that you got going on for the peoples?
Yeah, you can check out content that I make on youtube.com/DMArmada. I'm over on Twitter at Armada_DM. And then there are other socials that I don't really use. Instagram exists. I once made a TikTok.
Ooh.
I don't know what the name is. I think I posted one thing on it. See if you can find that. There you go.
If you find the TikTok. Well, please check out all of DM's stuff, folks. You can continue to find me on Twitter at freshbudspod. Check out the YouTube. Give us the old like, comment, subscribe. It all helps. We got a Patreon. We got Discord. The Buds Discord is a pop in place. That's all in the Linktree. Also, I do another podcast with my cousin Matthew called Fresh Juice, where we review indie video games. There's a ton of fun over there. And that comes out weekly as well. And finally, Stephen, I always like to talk about food at the end. Do you have a new cookie for us, or would you like to feature something else?
All right. Hold on real quick.
Yeah.
I have a new cookie for you, sir.
Okay.
All right, here you go. All right, so Crumble Cookie, if you don't know Crumble Cookie, they're kind of popping off over the past year, and this past week they released a new cookie. It's an innovation. It's really an illumination, if you will. It's sort of changed my life in one way or another. I've had children, well, not me, but I've been in the room while my children were born, and those experiences are starting to look a little less impactful in comparison to me eating this cookie from Crumble Cookie. And the cookie is the French toast cookie.
French toast. I want to look it up right now.
It is a square. It is almost more bready than it is cookie. And by God, it was one of the most sinful things I've ever enjoyed.
Oh my God.
No, that's a weird way to put that. No, it was beautiful.
Beautiful.
The experience of eating that cookie. I can't even describe it as a cookie because it's really not. It's like if you made French toast into a cake.
I mean, I'm looking at it right now. What is that? Just a dollop of like icing on top?
It's like a cream cheese icing, but I'm not usually a fan of that. But holy crap, I am now.
Wow.
At least for that one.
Damn.
And then they do like a drizzle of maple syrup.
Oh, well, you got probably a little cinnamon on there.
My figure is not the same after eating most of one of those.
Well, shout out Crumble Cookie. Use promo code FRESH. No, I'm kidding.
Sponsors of the channel.
Yeah, sponsors of the channel. Just kidding, unless. But folks, thank you so much. We don't have time for Charmer, unfortunately, but we'll get to him eventually. Thank you, Steven. Everybody have a great weekend. I'm so excited to play Mistveil.